everyone, it's Amy and James with Paid Search Magic, and we are really excited getting ready for Audit Month. We wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, about what an audit is and why it matters, because there's not a standardized definition of what an audit is in paid search. And so just depending on your experiences with it, depending on what you heard and what you felt, it can really mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. Like, I think typically when we think of audit, we think of something that's really formal, right? Like a formalized like a procedure, something that kind of walks you through a series of steps, and it's kind of quantifiable. But beyond that, you could really have a lot of different associations for the word. So like for some people, I think an audit is like a breath of fresh air. They get really excited about it because it means adding structure and order, kind of bringing structure to an account that maybe is a little bit haphazard, and it can feel really exciting to do that. To kind of get that checklist or a rule book, right, to make things kind of more standard. But I think for other people, audit can have a really negative connotation. Like when we think of, in the States, an IRS audit is not a good thing. It can feel like there's a lot of scrutiny coming in, that someone's trying to catch you in a mistake, or like an unnecessary level of just being in the weeds with minutia. Now that is not what we're talking about when we're doing an audit month. We're not getting super deep in minutia to try to catch you in anything, but we do acknowledge that there is that association with the word, and so we want to kind of clarify what we mean when we're talking about audit.
Yeah, so and even when it comes to paid search, there are different types of audits, and I think it's useful to break them into a couple different categories. On one hand, you might have the internal audits. On the other hand, you have the external audits. Now, when it comes to the external audits, this is the kind of stuff where you'll have a deliverable, and it might be, kind of a low-key audit where you're just looking for the low-hanging fruit, quick opportunities to kind of showcase your skills and then use that audit as a pitch. That happens a lot in our industry. A lot of people do like light audits to try to win new clients, and you actually might be doing a really, really in-depth one. You might be commissioned for thousands of dollars to do a systematic in-depth audit. So those are the external ones. But what we're going to be working on are the internal audits, and it can range from light to heavy as well. But that's what we're going to be focusing on, is just going through our own accounts and stepping through them to make them more efficient and better performing.
Right, and to just get a little bit into the history of audits, it actually goes back to ancient Rome, when the term audit was first coined, and this is when you had an official who would read aloud what their numbers were, and then you had another official who'd read aloud what their numbers were. They'd want to reconcile and make sure that they both matched, and you can kind of, like, the whole term audit meant a hearing of accounts, and it really has to do with hearing and listening. Like if you think of the word audit, auditory and audible, like they all kind of stem from that same root word of listening to accounts, and that's really the idea behind what we're going to be doing in January.
Yeah, so Audit Month is essentially where we're going to walk you through being the auditor of your own accounts to make sure that they're accurate and optimized. So each week in January, we're going to have new video lessons. We're going to have workbooks and tools. We're going to have a live Q&A call where we can answer any questions that you have, like any problems that pop up. That's where we can go over those. And honestly, in these things, we cover just about anything. Between Amy and myself, we've done I don't know how many audits, just countless audits. So we've come up with a pretty thorough list. Now, when it comes to knowing how to do things like manually, how to automate them, they can be very different. Like, you might be wanting to look at goals and evaluate whether they're the right things that should be reported on. You might be delving into search terms, like whatever it is, there's a lot of different steps to go through. Now, in a later video, we're going to go through and we're going to detail out what those things are going to be. But the big takeaway right now is that if you want to join us for Audit Month, you will learn how to do a professional, in-depth audit of your PPC accounts. And it's a great way to go into 2020, and feel solid about what you're doing in paid search.
Sorry, just trying to go off mute here. Yeah, just to speak to the takeaways, kind of the outcomes that you can get from Audit Month. I think the first one is just discovery. We do so much discovery to uncover problems before they become big problems, to look at opportunities where maybe there wasn't a mistake necessarily, but it's still something that you can improve upon and improve the performance of your account. And then discovering what your goals should be. A lot of times there's assumptions that are used to guide management where we need to get really clear on some specifics. And so just discovering what should be happening is a huge component of it. We're also looking at optimization. That is pretty key here. So when we're talking about doing more of what works and less of what doesn't, or maximizing wins and minimizing losses, that's really what we're working on. So between kind of optimizing and kind of knowing what we're doing, we really need to get good at listening, get clear at paying attention, getting clarity. Like it works in the specifics. It doesn't really work when we're really abstract and to say, hey, ad group 1 is working, but I don't know why. We have to know what's in the ad group, what are the assets and how they're doing and why they're performing that way. And then the other thing is confidence. You will get confidence in your skills as a marketer in your audit process. Like you won't have to wonder about that at that point. You'll also get confidence in how your accounts are performing, which is huge. And then just being able to know that they're being managed appropriately, really, whether you're just inheriting an account and looking at it for the first time and kind of feeling overwhelmed, or you've been running it so long that you kind of become blind to some of maybe the opportunities or things that could be different because you're just so familiar with it. So it'd be a really good reset for you to just feel really confident in going forward. So if this is something you'd like to join, we would love to have you. We still have some spots available, so be sure to claim your spot. Click the link to get started, and we will see you in the course. Thanks so much.